Other interesting political news, you have Vivek on Alvin Bragg case against Trump going viral, to say the least. Now, this comes to us thanks to Vivek Ramaswamy's personal X-Twitter profile, in which he says, and thankfully his voice is infinitely better than mine, so we'll let him speak here in a second or two. But before his video, he actually says, quote, Alvin Bragg's case against Trump rests on the ludicrous legal premise that the candidate must use campaign funds to make personal hush money payments. Yet if Trump had done that, they'd undoubtedly be going after him for that. This isn't the part of the pursuit of justice, it's a political persecution that's tearing our country apart, unquote. Now granted, also A plus for marketing, Vivek, as every man should, did suit up, and he also went above and beyond getting the good old American pin on his lapel. And granted, his voice is infinitely better than mine, so without further ado, if the tech would work for me. Let's see here.
Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg's prosecution of Donald Trump and its trial begins today. What a joke. I'm against these prosecutions on principle. I think they're destructive to our country. But let's just examine the facts and the law here. Alvin Bragg effectively is prosecuting Donald Trump for making hush money payments, allegedly, to Stormy Daniels, and then paying Michael Cohen in a means that Alvin Bragg thinks is falsifying business records. Well, first of all, falsifying business records in New York is a misdemeanor, not a felony. And it falls outside of the statute of limitations, meaning it happened so far long ago that Alvin Bragg can't bring the case unless he charges it as a felony, which requires an underlying crime that he's advancing by falsifying those business records that was also a felony. Here's where the legal stretch really begins. That requires Alvin Bragg to say that Donald Trump's payments should have been made out of a campaign account. That's his theory of the case, instead of being made personally, or else it's a constructive campaign contribution. That's bunk. Think about it. Look, you've had smart people like former FEC Commissioner Bradley Smith, who has correctly pointed out that if Donald Trump did use campaign money, campaign contributions, to pay off hush money, that would arguably be an even stronger legal case to bring against him than the case they're bringing now. So in that version of the world, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. They're going to get him going or they're going to get him coming. It's almost as though they decided this is the person we're going to prosecute, and then we're going to figure out what we're going to charge him with after the fact. Well, guess what? That's exactly what happened. You have Alvin Bragg, a Manhattan DA who was elected.
I'm going to be sorely disappointed if he doesn't make that comparison to the USSR or the Soviet Union, which Justice Sullivan, I believe he is famously quoted saying, "Show me the man and I'll show you the crime," where they just, make it up.
On the promise of going after Donald Trump. For what crime? We had no idea. Just the idea that they had to go after Donald Trump. This is a politician keeping his campaign promise. That is a bastardization of our legal system. That's not how we do things in the United States. And that motivation accounts for why this case is so weak and emblematic of the other prosecutions that have since followed against Donald Trump. I think Trump is going to prevail, but most importantly, I hope we move beyond this phase of our history where you have one political party that thinks it can use the legal system to prosecute its opponents. The same shoe can fit the other foot, and if we keep going down this direction, we're not going to have...
He says that, and yet, I've heard this argument for almost a decade now, where people keep saying, well, the left shouldn't do that because eventually the right will get in power, then they'll do the same thing. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your perspective, a lot of those Republicans are useless rhinos, pejoratively known as Republican in name only, where once they do get the power, they do nothing. Which means they're just Democrats in disguise, or they just don't stand for anything. They just acquiesce and they basically do nothing. Which, not to go on my usual tangent into disappointed in politics, but a good example would be the Republicans had the House, they had the Senate, and they had the presidency. They had the White House. And they couldn't get suppressors off the NFA list, also known as the National Firearms Act, and treat it like a standard 4473, firearm transfer. So to this day, if you want to buy a suppressor and you're one of the 42 states that allow it, you have to be fingerprinted, you have to have an extra photo ID, you have to pay $200 tax stamp to the U.S. Treasury Department, you also have to pay sales tax on top of that, and then you have to wait sometimes days, months. The longest I've heard is 10 months to get the paperwork back. Now it's been changed so there's now an electronic method of submitting it, and I know some people who they're getting it back a lot quicker these days, but still. That's why, so many politicians say, well, you don't want to set this precedent. In theory, yeah, you shouldn't, because a rational opponent in a political battle or philosophical battle, they would most likely do the same thing.
Have a country left in the complete absence of a legal argument even to bring this case against Trump isn't just embarrassing to Alvin Bragg, it's embarrassing to our country. I hope Donald Trump not only prevails in this trial, but that we prevail as a country to move beyond this phase of our national history. That's what it's going to take to reunite and rebuild this nation.
So I agree, that'd be great. Yet
Manhattan DA out.
I don't know why. I don't know why. Is it a bug or a feature? But a lot of times the video just automatically start replaying. Perhaps they're just insinuating that you really want to see it again, or maybe it's just a bug that Elon will fix. Or no, that's always the debate in IT. It's not a bug; it's a feature. But I partially digress. One of the first comments comes from Elon Musk himself, and he says, "quote This case is obviously a corruption of the law, lawfare." Unquote, getting 30,000 likes. And let's see if we do it, it'll be 30,000 or 31,000. Is that, could we be it? Could we be the one? Oh, we weren't. I was wondering if we were the one more needed to get up to 31,000. We weren't, but nevertheless, we did like it. Now, Vivek also responded saying, quote, "Show me the man, I'll show you the crime," unquote. So he did get that reference eventually. And that got 4.1 thousand likes. You also have Paul Zazupa saying, quote, "This is pure election interference and everyone can see it. That's why all these cases have been backfiring immensely for Democrats. President Trump will emerge from this latest sham more popular and powerful than ever. This is just desperation by Democrats," unquote, getting 890 likes, which, yes, statistically speaking, pretty much every time Trump has got indicted, he has increased in popularity. We saw this when it comes to the Republican nominee. We had all these prospective, all these candidates coming out, they're all campaigning, and Trump got first hit. And I mean, a lot of people thought this would tank his career. He's done. His followers will abandon him. He's out of politics. The opposite happened. He became more popular. And every time he's been indicted, when we saw this, the statistics on the poll aggregator, was it 538.com or project.538, and as a poll aggregator would take the averages of all these different polls. Every time he was indicted, Trump would go up in the Republican nominee poll. And again, at the end of the day, he did win the Republican nominee. And again, I think a lot of these charges are just showing people in the middle, well, it doesn't seem fair. It doesn't seem equal, with the most blaring case being the improper storage of documents and files, where, again, we saw not just Trump, but you had Mike Pence, you had Trump, you had Obama, you had Biden, you had many politicians who did not properly store their documents, which also shows you perhaps the ineptitudes of politicians, or we had too many classified documents, and yet the only person that was really charged was Trump. And then you have Hillary Clinton deleting her emails, using BleachBit, and smashing her phones when she had an on-prem email server, which, again, no one has an on-prem email server. I work in IT. I know a couple guys who have one for like tinkering because they're really big into building out their own physical infrastructure. Your regular person does not have an on-prem email server, and yet when the Department of Justice was asked, "Are you going to go after her?" they said, "No, she's running for president. It'd be bad optics if this would be election interference." And that they are going after Trump. Now, interestingly enough, we do have some contrarian statements to make life a little bit more interesting. We have our favorite leftist, Luke Zaleski. Well, not really favorite, but I do appreciate counterpoints and different perspectives because I like to get a little boring if you're in an echo chamber. So I like to follow a couple of people who are far left, far right, from the middle, gaining as much perspective as possible. Now, Luke Zaleski, who his profile picture is of him wearing a V-neck, which almost comical. As we all know, a man should always suit up, and at every occasion he looks better. Now, I partially digress. Luke Zaleski says, quote, "MAGA glossary for dummies." I won't say F- for marketing, but he also used the number 4 instead of saying 4. Maybe he's trying to use the cliche of the old book for dummies, which is one of the most successful how-to books, but I partially digress. Luke Zaleski says, 1, education is indoctrination. 2, prosecution is persecution. 3, losing is winning. Ricky Bobby would have something to say about that. 4, insurrection is patriotism. 5, violence is victimhood. 6, killing women is pro-life. What? 7, anti-racism woke is racism. Well, by its very definition, those initiatives, like, they treat people differently based on their race. So yes, that's it says. 8, anti-fascists are fascists. 9, law enforcement is illegal, unquote. Which is especially ironic when you consider, he says, law enforcement is illegal, and yet, I mean, there's a pretty big group of people saying back the blue. And he says, killing women is pro-life? I have yet to hear any politician or person promulgate they want to kill a woman. If anything, the pro-life people's whole concept is to save prospective lives and the women. He says, insurrection. So, great. I think it's meant to be vacuous. However, 121 people did appreciate his comment, and they did like it. You also have 30 people respond to it. So, again, there are some people who this will decrease their favor in Trump, and they're just going to see the headline that say Trump indicted. They'll see the headline. And again, a lot of people are working hard these days in terms of their time and resource allocation. They don't have time to research the topics. Truth be told, there are some interesting news articles. I'll go down the rabbit hole. Before I know it, I'll spend an hour looking up a new topic. So I understand not everyone has that time. But I can't but think maybe more and more people are going to look beyond that. And let me know. Maybe I'm just being a hopeless optimist, perhaps. I also have the red-headed libertarian who, A+ for marketing. Not only is she red-headed, but she also is a libertarian, which I'm a little biased because I'm a little bit myself. Now, she says, quote, they just made it up as it go. It's incredible. I'm quoting 594 likes. Let's see, scrolling down. Interesting. Someone by the name of Robert Stupis has some type of AI-generated image of Biden holding an ice cream cone, and it says, quote, an evil man will burn his own nation to the ground to rule over the ashes, unquote. And apparently that was written as a quote by Sun Tzu, who's probably most famously known for writing the book The Art of War. Which, let me know if you want me to do book reviews. I usually read one book a month about business or philosophy of politics. Let me know if let me know in the comments if there's something interested. I got a whole shelf of books, I was going to say behind me, to my left, which would be stage right, move right. I was going to say, ADHD aside, it has a creepy looking AI-generated image of Biden holding an ice cream cone, which, something weird about, I don't know. To me, I thought ice cream was always more for kids. I don't know. I'm trying to think last time I bought ice cream where it wasn't on a date. When was NSYNC popular? Never mind, I partially digress. Scrolling down more and more. You have Emergent Perspectives saying, quote, they're willing to flush it all down. And is a donkey dressed up in a suit, which, at least the donkey's styling. He's suited up. And the donkey has the D logo for the Democrat Party. And he says, yes, I hate Trump this much. And is flushing down the Justice Lady, U.S. Justice System, and is flushing it down the toilet. That got 667 likes. You also have, what is this? Democrat Media TM saying, quote, this is a politically motivated persecution. And there's a picture saying, I stand with Trump, getting 749 likes. And a lot of my friends politically in the middle, and even a couple who are, not leftist, but they're more left-leaning, even though some of them aren't going to vote for Trump, they still acknowledge and they think this just on its face, doesn't seem fair. It sure seems like political persecution, especially when you have these deltas and differences between, the same charges being executed and actually, gone through it differently based on seemingly your political affiliation. Let's see, scrolling down more and more. Let's see here. This is MAGA. Someone by the name of MAGA Monk says, at the appropriate time, Alvin Bragg will need to be prosecuted for federal election interference. I'm quoting 265 likes, which, I don't know, I'm pretty pessimistic in terms of when you see people in the government actually held accountable. I don't want to say it's rarer than winning the lottery. But the odds are not zero, but it's like 0.000000175%, give or take. So will Alvin Bragg actually be held accountable or be prosecuted for politically prosecuting Trump or targeting Trump inappropriately? I don't think it's going to happen. You have Florida Man ETH, which, truth be told, the emoji is in fact of a man with a orange for a head and a red hat. Which the only thing missing is the alligator emoji. There is a orange emoji in the name as well. And Florida Man ETH says, quote, Vivek continues to be an outstanding man with a firm set of principles. When will people realize the only reason for this sham trials is because Democrats can't win without cheating? They are very scared of what Trump will accomplish this November, 100%. Unquote. That got 678 likes. So you're scrolling down more and more. Brandy, which, interestingly enough, looks like her name also has a wine glass. So close to good marketing. Yeah, I see where you're going there. And she says, quote, this is definitely election interference. And that got 54 likes. Let's see here. Do one more here. You have American 357 saying, quote, and there's a picture of We the People document, what's the historic document, the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. He says, this wasn't written to keep you in line, it was written to keep them in line. It's juxtaposed to the picture of our government, which, yes, people keep forgetting, that got 193 likes. So it'll be interesting to see, again, Vivek keeps, as youth might say, going viral, bringing to the forefront a lot of these political topics. At the end of the day, I can't help but think he's going to have some type of position with Trump if Trump does successfully win. What that position might be, I mean, a lot of people are speculating he'd be a great VP. I think he'd be an exceptional vice president. I like the fact that Vivek actually articulates his plans instead of the cliche. You see every politician, left and right, they'll go to Capitol Hill and they'll go in front of the TV and they go, we need to get Americans back to work. And they never tell you, okay, here's policy A, B, and C. They're going to accomplish that, and it's going to accomplish that because we've seen this work before, and also it's in the purviews of the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. Vivek actually says, oh yeah, we can do this and this, and by the way, actually stand for the Constitution, which in politics is seemingly, unfortunately, is a rare thing. So let me know, what do you think the future is for Vivek? Do you think at the end of the day he's going to get a position with Trump in the White House? As always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in. Again, I'm trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you could click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, leave me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.